world, especially from all over Africa. We're happy to have you here. We have almost around 21 attendees so far. And welcome to our amazing speakers, Irene and Regina. I will ask you to open your videos, ladies, if possible, because you are our guest speakers for today. So I want the entire panelists to see your face, if possible.
I am not able to put on my video because it says that you cannot start the video because the host has stopped you.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Let's see.
So you need to let me do that.
Let me do that. Can you do it now?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Also, Regina, I have allowed you to do the same.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Great. So can you put on your video? Perfect. Let's start until Regina kind of fixed that one up. So welcome everyone. Wow, we have almost 30 people on our webinar so far, and it's only 5 to 10 minutes in. We're gonna go ahead and start our webinar. Thank you all who have registered and wanted to attend. I would like to welcome our amazing speakers today, Irene Ochem, co-founder and CEO at AWIEF, as well as Regina Honu from Ghana, who is also the co-founder and CEO at Soronko Academy. This is our very first webinar from the three-part webinar series that we have collaborated together with Ghana Startup Network and Arielle for Africa. It is going to be tackling the role of gender and gender bias on entrepreneurship and women on leadership. So I believe it's going to be a very interesting, very exciting, very important topic to tackle in. As you may have seen from what we have been putting up on our social medias, it is an honor to be welcoming amazing speakers from all backgrounds, but most importantly from a place of leadership and a place of entrepreneurship. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm going to start. I'm gonna go ahead and start the webinar by presenting the two companies that have come together to organize and co-create this project. I am from Arielle for Africa, co-founder and CBDO at Arielle for Africa. It is Arielle for Africa is a social enterprise that is currently based in Kenya, and it is driven by the zeal of providing business skills, funding, and networks to budding entrepreneurs who are not only able to launch sustainable businesses, but businesses that can excel in the market, that are then able to create jobs for other youths like them in the market. And our amazing partner, Ghana Startup Network, is one of the fastest rising ecosystem organization, which has a similar vision like Arielle for Africa, which is to build a country with Africa's leading startups, which are then able to create jobs and build their countries' economies. And so these two companies share the same vision, share the same passion of building entrepreneurs, of building the future of Africa. And we do believe that women play a big role in doing so, especially in a continent where women have always been put down or told to be submissive, or have never been given the opportunity to actually show their skills, show their innovative and creative skills. However, like have been put down by so many barriers, and were unable to actually go out of their shell, go out of their comfort zone, and actually create or explore within the field of business. And that's why we said, okay, let's come together, let's organize a webinar series that will then help actually educate, right? Create insight, of share knowledge with amazing women that have already been on the field and have already passed all those obstacles, all those barriers, all of those challenges, and still made it up the ladder into leadership and into entrepreneurship. And today we have invited 2 of those 6 amazing speakers that we have coming up for our 3 series webinars. And it is Irene, Ochem, and Regina Ayara, as I have Regina Hono, as I have introduced at the beginning. And now I will pass it to them. But before I do so, I would like to present today's main topic, which Irene and Regina will be tackling in depth. So our first part 1 or first webinar will deal with the topic of, does leadership know gender? Can women in leadership have confidence, be themselves, and be who they want to be, and still make it into leadership? And how does one or how does a woman navigate the male-dominated business environment without compromising on who they are as a woman, right? Without having to compromise their naturally given talent and skill. And how do I, as a woman, break and overcome the gender barriers to become a very successful entrepreneur? And finally, what are the practical steps that you, as Regina and Irene, have taken to overcome biases and stigma as women in business? So these are going to be our starting point of conversation. I will leave it up to now to Irene to be our very first speaker that will tackle in this topic. I'll give you around 5 minutes, and then I will pass it to Regina. But before that, I would like to give a little bit introduction into who is Irene, based from what she has told us about herself. Irene is the CEO co-founder at African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. This is an organization that's based both in South Africa and in Nigeria. Irene, as a person, she's an entrepreneur, a very successful international development specialist with more than 25 years in international management, working both in Europe and Africa. She has spent majority of her years designing and leading projects that are committed to developing women, both in technology and many other, in farming and many other fields within business. And she has also helped to mobilize a lot of resources and developing international partnerships that will support AWIEF program and initiatives. She holds a bachelor and postgraduate degree, including an MBA from University of London, and the rest she will tell us more about herself. I'm just doing here a brief introduction before she takes it on herself, and she tells us about herself, who she is, what is her current position, what's her passion, and what has brought her here so far, and what she has to say in regard to our topic today. I will leave it to you, Irene.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Feruz, and thank you for having me in this webinar. I'm really glad to Arielle and the Ghana Startup Network. Incidentally, I'm in South Africa. I'm a Nigerian, but I live in South Africa. And August is the month of women. It's Women's Month in South Africa. So this is very welcome to be here talking about women and gender in leadership. Yeah, so you have already done the presentation, so I don't think I should waste a lot more time talking too much about myself, but only to say that I come from an international, I was an international civil servant, you know, what you call it when you are working for UN organizations, any of the agencies, you are an international civil servant. So I work for a UN agency. So I come from that background of more than 10 years before venturing into leaving that to venture into business, and ultimately now leading this organization, the African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, which I founded in 2015. And what we do, we support, we promote, and we nurture, and we build women as entrepreneurs, okay? And that includes trying to address all the barriers that on the continent, women and elsewhere in the world, women encounter trying to start and build their businesses. So coming down, I know the time is short, so coming down to the question, does leadership know gender? It's really a very interesting question, because in the ideal world, you know, leadership does not know gender. But in the real world, in our real world, in Africa, and not only in Africa, unfortunately, leadership, you know, tends to know gender, okay? So there should be no gender in leadership, you know, because given the right opportunities, equal opportunities, women are able to perform just as men, okay? And sometimes even better, we have seen it. But unfortunately, we have barriers. If we take it to the political scene on the continent, political leadership, it's a male, it's a male thing, you know. When the African Union presidents, our presidents meet in Addis Ababa or elsewhere, you see they're all men. On the continent now, we don't have any female leaders after the president of Liberia and that of Malawi, okay? So we don't have, we have in Ethiopia currently, the president, but that's ceremonial, she's not the prime minister. So on the continent, but there's no female political leadership at that level, okay? Presidents and all that. In business, in the corporate world, there is also a lot of, the gap is huge, okay? Why do we have this? You know, we have different barriers that go from structural barriers to institutional barriers to our individual mindsets, and also as women, our lifestyle choices. I say about the structural barriers that have to do with our social biases, culture, our African culture, that tend to undermine women, starting with the girl child in some places, education, which is where it all starts. You know, women not having equal access to education, then it goes to, from there, it comes into career in the corporate world and in business leadership. So because of the time that we have, I would like to talk about a very important critical barrier, okay, that is holding us, and which sometimes also depends on us, is confidence, okay? Self-confidence, having that confidence. So you can ask me, how have I overcome, how have I tried to overcome the barriers that I encounter, whether it was when I was in the working as an employee, or now that I'm in business and leading my company. I started when I was a little child, okay? Right when I was a little child, I had to, on a personal basis, I am the only girl, you know, born to my parents with 4 brothers and in the middle. So growing up as a little child, I had to start from day one to fight for my space, own my space, and fight to have a voice, between my brothers. My mother of then, would always, wasn't even supporting me, because when I had a fight with my brothers or something, trying to own my space and, prove my point, climb as many trees as they were climbing, to show that if you can do it, I can do it, and you don't kick me away. You have to hear me out. She would always tell me, oh, don't you know you're a girl? So it was like that, but I insisted, and built that personality of being assertive, of trying to own my space. But as you are building that confidence, one thing is critical. You have to be good at your game. So this has always been what it is with me. I built my confidence coming from where I was coming from, proving to my brothers, you kick the ball, I can catch it, okay? It doesn't matter, I'm a girl, you're a boy, and all that. You climb the tree, I climb taller, okay? So I built, and they came to respect me. Yes, I was regarded as that tomboy sister. Oh, that your sister. It didn't matter. And they supported me. I got support. Built that confidence, but as you move on to school, to work, and then to leadership positions, you continue to prove yourself. You have to be good in what you are doing, but you have to be confident. Develop confidence in yourself, in what you can do. Unfortunately, because of the barriers that we have, we always have to do twice as much, okay, to prove ourselves. But it does not matter. In the end, you are equal to it. You can do it. And we see women leading successfully, whether those of them who are in government, we see them, they make very good leaders. In business, where you have women leading, they lead equally as well. Even studies have actually shown that there is a famous 2014 McKinsey study, and I can quote, that found a statistically significant relationship between a more diverse leadership and better financial performance. So where you have a diverse board and a diverse leadership in any corporate, you see better performance, okay? So there is a good reason for that, but it's a continuous fight, okay? You have to be persistent, you have to be good in what you are doing, you have to be resilient, and you have to have confidence. We have barriers, we don't get to have as a good network as men do. They go to the golf club, they make deals. We don't in Africa. You have very few women who go to play golf. Okay, they meet in bars, in whatever, in their clubs. Okay, we lack that kind of network. Okay, which we can create amongst ourselves. That is one of the things that AWIEF does, creating that platform to offer women networking opportunities, to connect amongst themselves, to network, peer-to-peer learning opportunities and exchanges, and there we see success stories, role models, and then the rest is history. So so let me stop here so that we can engage later.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Irene. That was very insightful, very interesting to see and hear your personal experience growing up, even both from a place of your family and growing up and opening your own business and where you're currently at. And I'm sure many questions are already flowing in, I can see. So it's going to be interesting conversation. So now I will move to Regina, which is our next speaker. But before I do so, guys, go ahead and write down your question on the Q&A section, okay? On the Q&A section, so I can go ahead and read it from there. So type as our speakers speak. If you have any question that comes up to you, type it down and we will try to go through it once our speakers are done. All right, next up is our amazing speaker, Regina. She is a co-founder and CEO at Soronko Academy, which is the very first coding and human-centered design school in West Africa for children and adults. And she had done so much for women in business and in the field of entrepreneurship. And as such, she has been awarded a lot of awards, and she had been engaging in a lot of projects. As you can see in the bio, I can't even know where to start and what to leave out. I actually had to cut your bio, Regina, but there's so much you have done for women. It just, as I was reading through your bio, it made me realize that we actually have women that care, women that have done it all, and women that don't only care about their success, but care about the success of many women like them, that can open business, that can grow, that can be leadership, that can thrive, and not be put down, like Irene said, by the family, by the culture, by the society, or by whatever people may tell them around. We can see that Regina, she's been invited to speak in many opportunities such as UNESCO in Paris, Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C. For advancing female entrepreneurship in Africa, and many other like TEDx Lebanon, TEDx Dartmouth, and many other places. She's also been listed as one of BBC 100 Most Inspirational and Innovative Women for 2017. And the rest, I will leave it to her to introduce us, to tell us more about herself, her upbringing, her background, how she actually succeeded this far, and why she takes so much pride in taking all of these initiatives that would make women's life much better. So I leave it to you now, Regina. Go ahead and take the mic.
Thank you, Feruz. So it's a pleasure to be able to also come in and share my insights. Following Irene's really great and insightful presentation, I just want to start off with a little intro. Feruz was very generous with sharing my profile. But in a nutshell, I would say I'm somebody who likes to take a lot of risk. I like to push myself. And like Irene said, I've also found my voice, and I'm making sure that nobody silences that voice, and I speak it and I use it on as many platforms. I am a gender and a tech advocate, and I believe in the transformative power of technology and digital skills, especially for the continent. And for me, my journey started pretty late. Unlike Irene, I followed the typical sort of route of what an African girl child is supposed to be. So I was shy, reserved, I didn't find my voice till later on. And in the beginning, you always have dreams, and I see this a lot with young women. Like, you have a dream, you have a passion, you have a vision, but you hold yourself back. So that was me. So just like Irene said, I lacked that confidence. So when I went into university, I studied computer science. My first course, I failed. So I was about to give up because I kept hearing, a lot about, technology is just for boys, it's very difficult. So when I failed my first course, I was like, yeah, they're right, it's not for me. Let me look for something more suited. But then I said, okay, let me go and try harder. And that's what I did. And then I had to, learn to find my voice, because if you don't do that, like Irene was saying, we have, the ideal world where gender doesn't play a role, and we have the real world where it does. So if you don't find your voice, you don't find the confidence in you, and you don't reach your full potential. So for me, once again, I went into the working world when I graduated. I thought life was linear. I thought hard work equals results. Everything is just going to happen when you imagine it in your mind. And so when I went into the workforce, I worked very hard. Now, I was the only female in the IT department in 2 international banks that I worked at. So you can imagine, I faced discrimination, sexism, stereotyping, every imaginable thing. I went through that. And I realized that the playing fields were not the same. One of the shock things for me was I went in for a promotion for a role that I clearly deserved because I had worked very hard for, and I was the only developer, right? So I had re-engineered electronic banking products. And when I went in for the promotion, the person who was supposed to give me the promotion, as soon as I walked in, he was like, "Are you the one?" I'm like, "Yes." And then the person didn't even bother to give me an interview. So, you know, I was just devastated. And when I went in, and the reason why I wanted the promotion, obviously, was to increase, you know, my pay. And I found out that I was the least paid in the department. And I was the least paid in the department, not because I was female, but because I didn't negotiate. And that's one other thing that's a disservice to women, right? We're not taught how to negotiate. If your mother gives you 2 loaves of bread for breakfast, that's it. It is unladylike and rude of you to say, "No, mommy, can you give me 4? You know, or can I please have more?" You can't do that. I mean, your mother will just be looking at you like, am I not training my daughter well? You're just supposed to smile, take the 2 loaves of bread and appreciate it. And that's exactly what happened. When I went in to sort of negotiate for my salary, I mean, when they just offered me the first offer, I just took it. I didn't even ask any questions, you know. And so then I had to learn how to assert myself. But really, for me, what I had to do was I had to even create a second personality, right? It took me a while. It didn't come naturally. I didn't just wake up and then say, okay, you know, I'm this confident person. So I always would say, when I'm Regina, the CEO, I'm wearing a different hat. And then it's like, I'm faking it till you make it, in that sense, where like I'm pretending to be confident till I actually became confident. So it was a process for me, because it was a lot of years of me just sort of smiling and checking all the boxes and realizing that you don't win like that and you don't get to where you need to get to. So fast forward, I decided to quit and start my own business. And for me, one of the things that is my driving force is I believe that women before has made sacrifices, some including their lives, to allow women in this generation to live the way they live. So for me, it's really important, you know, that we do things better for the present generation of women and the future generation of women, so that women that come after us live in a more equitable and equal world than the one that we live in today. So technology is my driving force, is my superpower, and that's what I'm using. And I believe that people that can create technology can transform the world. So I'm empowering young women and girls to be able to create technology, to be able to transform their communities, solve problems, and most importantly, economic empowerment. Because I believe also that, you know, the movement of women is essential when you have the economic piece. So if women are not economically empowered, that's a challenge, right? And like Irene was saying, I mean, we don't have access to these networks. So the work Irene is doing is so important. We need access to these networks. We need access to proper funding. We need access to proper mentorship. We need access, you know, to proper platforms. But it's really important that we support and push each other. So for me, really, I'm driven by my passion to see change, and by my belief that the African woman has so much potential, and it's important that we harness and develop it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Regina. Amazing. Wow. I'm very, very impressed by our speakers.
Feruz, it's actually very interesting because Regina and I, we are just not knowing ourselves because we are on this platform, you know. Regina, when I founded AWIEF, okay, far back in 2015, and then for our second conference in 2016. So Regina was one of the few women I identified on the continent, women in technology. And I wanted so much to feature her in the conference. So she was confirmed as one of the speakers. Yeah. But then I think the little girl was on her way, Regina.
Oh my goodness. That's another conversation.
Yes, you know, so she couldn't, so the baby was there, she couldn't come to attend the conference. So it was quite a great pleasure for me now to be on this platform, both of us discussing issues and hearing her passion, because she is one of those role models for us as AWIEF, you know, when we are talking about women in tech, because a male-dominated sector, all the things that she mentioned here about it just boils down to that confidence, negotiation. women don't know how to negotiate. Men usually oversell themselves in their abilities and performance. But women, we tend to undersell ourselves.
Yes.
We don't have that confidence to talk about our abilities or our performance. Okay, we just accept what is given to us, you know. But that shouldn't be the case, because we have all the qualities that leadership. What are the qualities for leadership? For me, it would be intelligence. It would be integrity. It would be honesty. It would be being decisive, because as a leader, you have to take decisions, and serious, sometimes very difficult decisions. And then it would be being innovative. And also you can throw in being ambitious and being compassionate. And as women, we have all these you know, attributes. We have them. And so where you have equal equity in opportunities, whether in corporate leadership or in government leadership, women excel. Okay, so it's very, very interesting, and I'm happy for this opportunity to share these insights with her.
Same here.
How amazing. So GSN and Arielle have brought together two amazing force in power that didn't have a chance to meet before. How amazing it is. I'm personally very inspired by both of you. Being a woman, being Black, being from Africa, and living abroad, it's never been easy for me. And being also someone that's very passionate about entrepreneurship and leadership. I've always wanted to be independent. I've always wanted to rise to the top without being told you can't do it. You are a woman. You're especially if you know Eritrea. I come from a country where women are supposed to stay at home, take care of the family, have kids, and maybe become a nurse, and that's it. And to be an entrepreneur, when I now tell people that I even have co-founded and started a company with two amazing co-founders that are women, they laugh at me. They give me a look that is like, you're going to fail. What are you talking about? Just get yourself a job and work. And that is very discouraging. But when I see women like you, I do think it is possible. And that's why we have organized this webinar, to learn from people like you and to show that no barrier can hold us down unless, like you said, Irene, a great leader is all the qualities that you've mentioned should have. And once a woman has those, she can move through any barrier. All right, thank you so much. So now we're going to go ahead and move to the questions that are coming from the attendees. We have a lot of questions that are coming in. And so I'm going to go ahead and start. There were also some questions that were already here that I have received and prepared on my slide, but I was trying to move it to the slide as well, but there are too many for me, so I can't move them. But before this one, I'm going to start with the one that's asked first on the slide. As Black and as women, what have been your main challenges on your road to success? So like maybe mention one or two, like the main challenges that you've had to overcome. And then from then we are going to move to the questions that are on the panelists on the attendee list Q&A section. So what was your main challenge as Black and as women on your road to success? If you had to mention one or two, what would you say is the biggest?
Do I go? Okay. For me, as a Black woman, okay, and also a woman who lived and worked for decades in Europe, you encounter even more barriers because of your race, okay? Back home on the continent, depending on which country where you are operating, it might not be the case, you know, you may have tribalism, but not racism. But as a woman, and then as a Black woman, your challenges are quite doubled, I must say. There's no gainsaying about that. There's no trying to mince words about that. You encounter barriers, you know. You can't go as fast as you should under normal circumstances, being the equal performance level or if equal ability levels. You have to prove yourself. You have to work, you know, twice, 3 times as much, depending. But when you have proved yourself, you can still get to where you need to be. I have done it, okay, and some people will like you for it, for you are being assertive. They can say that when you are assertive, it's a double standard that we have in the society. They want you to, we are saying, okay, we have to have confidence as women, you have to grow confidence. But then when you demonstrate confidence, the society criticizes it as being bossy or being assertive or being too forward, okay? So it's a double standard. So you, and every time you have to work around these barriers. So it's double barrier being a woman and then being a Black woman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Irene. Regina, do you like to address that one?
Yes. So just, sorry, first, can you just give me the question again? Sorry. I was a little distracted.
The question is, as a Black and as a woman, what have been your main challenges on your road to success?
Okay. So I think the first one is always having to prove yourself. I think for me, I'm constantly being questioned, especially as a female in technology, as to whether, you know, I can deliver. Also being a young female, you know, when you try and navigate the cultural nuances such that, for example, if you go into meetings and they are older men and you assert yourself, it may be seen as disrespectful, you know, because in our culture, like, you know, you have that elder, younger, and when you're a young female, it may even rub off the wrong way with some individuals. Also, when you go into like to make deals, they always start at a lower point. I've had instances when I was starting out where, you know, I would go in to negotiate and then I would get comments like, oh, but you were a woman, so what are you going to do with all of this? Or be calm. And like Irene was saying, when you are set, you are called names, you are bossy, you are what. And I think the other challenge is definitely when you are trying, you know, to bring about innovative ideas and you get that feedback like you must know your place, or people are always trying to undermine you. This is something that I get a lot. Like, men are judged on their potential, but women are judged on what they have accomplished, right? So if I'm bringing in an idea, it's like, oh, have you done it before? Are you sure you can do it? Do you have the capability? But when a male brings in the idea, they're like, oh, we think he can do it, you know, he has potential, but I must prove that I can, you know, when the guy is just supposed to demonstrate his potential, you know. So for me, I mean, those are some of the challenges that I constantly have to let people, you know. Now it's easier because I've built a brand. But even when I go into certain spaces and they meet me for the first time, I always get the 5-second shock reaction. And they're like, you know, wow, you're not what we expected. I don't know what they expected, you know, and it kind of, it's held against me. So I always must make sure that I assert myself in whatever situation, or else, you know, I'll get the short end of the stick.
Wow. Super true. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so we have so many questions coming in. I didn't expect this. We have 70 participants or attendees, and they're all very amazed by you, and they're all thanking you, and they're all saying great speakers. I'm super happy to be in this webinar. So they're passing their greetings to you. So I will do that first. But I have some similar questions. So I'm not going to read all one by one, but I have similar questions. So in regards to motivation, in regards to discouragement, in regards to pressure, there are a couple of questions that came in. So let me read a couple of those and then you can address them all together, I believe. So the first one would be from Regina Bambara. Hello, I'm Regina Bambara from Burkina Faso. Most of the conferences, the speakers talk about entrepreneurship and different ways of starting your own business. It gives a feeling of failure to those who are not able to be entrepreneurial. I would like to know if entrepreneurship is really made for everyone. If so, what strategy should we adopt in case of no idea is done and in case of repetitive failure? That's one question. And then I will leave you with a second one that I think you can address. It says, I'm just trying to collate all in one so that we have from Penelope that says, I'm fortunate to be in this webinar. I'd like to ask our two wonderful panelists, how did they overcome being discouraged from time to time along the way to achieving greatness? Because sometimes it's like motivation just runs out. So how can one deal with this, please? So if possible, I would like you to address this in terms of like motivation and discouragement, and in the sense of like, is entrepreneurship for every woman? And if so, how can I do this?
Okay, thank you very much. I would take I start with the first question asking about entrepreneurship, whether it is for everybody. I do not think so. I do not think that entrepreneurship is for everybody. For you to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you have found what represents passion for you. So if it's not something that you are passionate about and what you are taking, your business has to be a mission for you. Okay, it has to be a mission. If you are not feeling that drive, that sense of mission, that sense of that passion inside you, then maybe it's not what you should be doing. So you can only be a successful entrepreneur when you have found something that is driving you. In my own case, when I left very well paid international civil service job, okay, to venture into the private sector, okay, first after 2 years stint at UCT, and then I decided. When I decided to launch AWIEF, it wasn't really as an entrepreneur. It was as a result of something that happened, in my life. My mother has been my inspiration there. But after her death, just before she died, I was in a transition period in my life at the time. Okay, I needed to reinvent myself. I was thinking of what is it that I needed to do. Okay, so and then that was the period that she also died. But before she died, I had the opportunity to be with her, and we had some conversations. And then she said something. Whatever it is that you decide, make sure it's something meaningful. So when all of a sudden, when she died, it just struck me, okay, this is what it has to be about women and all that, yeah. And when I launched it, I even got discouragement from, not discouragement, but doubts and maybe not taking me serious from family, but I had to convince them. Because I told them this is what I wanted to do. This was 2015. Nobody was talking about gender empowerment. The SDGs were not yet out. So it was a pioneering thing, and some people were laughing, some people were encouraging me, okay? But I felt this mission, this desire, something that I wanted to do. So that is where it starts. And then you need to convince people. So courage, and being decided on what you want to do, and the confidence, okay? You have to have that confidence. And when you have that mission, that vision of what you want to do, the aptitude comes too, the ability to do it well, because you don't compromise, excellence. You must achieve. You can fail. It's okay to fail. You learn. As you fail, you learn. You make mistakes. I'm making mistakes on a daily basis, but I'm learning from these mistakes. So, so is there the challenges, the barriers? You seek out role models. The role models that I have had, actually, many of them don't even know that they are my role models. So when you talk about mentorship, mentorship can be just somebody that you are admiring. Regina has been a mentor without knowing it, because I admire her as a woman in tech, okay, a young African woman in tech and all that, doing everything that she's doing. So you can look at other people who have made it, and from afar, you see how they are doing it. You admire them, you try to copy what they are doing, okay, and then you seek out information, okay. So, yeah, so let me give the space to Regina too.
Regina. Regina, was the question clear? You are muted.
Regina, you are muted.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Were you asking me to answer the same question?
Yeah, if you want to address it. If not, we can move on to the next one. If
No,
you have
let's move on. I think Irene did an amazing job at, answering that question. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. All right. There are a couple of questions into, I think this was also similar to the type of question you asked, you answered, but I'm just going to say it anyways, because I don't want people to think that we have neglected the question. So from Sarah Haddadi, I will ask Regina, I would like you to go about this one. What is the first step to enter the field of business? And then there is another one that's similar to that said, I want to start my own business, but I don't know where to start. Also, I don't have an idea. Where do I start? So these are similar questions that I believe you can address.
Okay, so the first step to entering, the world of business is make sure that you have identified a problem that you have a solution for. I mean, like Irene said, it's not everybody that is supposed to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is first for somebody who has a solution. So it's not like, oh, now entrepreneurship is a buzzword, so you just go in and see what is popular and just copy what everybody else is doing. So it's essential that you have identified a problem and you have a solution, and you believe that your solution brings value, that somebody will pay money for it, right? Or your solution brings value, that it drives change. And some interesting feedback that I got actually on another panel, which I think is interesting to share, is you look also at what are some of the big contributors to your GDP in your country, and see if the solution that you have or the idea you have falls within those services. Then you know that there's definitely demand, because it contributes to the GDP of your country. So the first step is have a solution to a problem. Don't just be like, okay, look, everybody's an entrepreneur, so let me also go. It looks glamorous. People are all over, no. It's a roller coaster ride that is not made for everybody, right? So first, make sure that you have, and then also make sure that you understand your market. So the solution to the problem, identify the problem, the solution, and then understand your market. The second question, which was, what was the second question? Feruz, can you remind me of the second question?
Yeah, it's similar to that. Like, I don't have a business idea, but I want to be a business person. Where do I start?
Okay, good. Yeah. Good one. So if you don't have a business idea, so that means you don't want to do the 9 to 5, right? So maybe you don't like to be bottled down. So then look around. First identify what are some of your talents that you have, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing, and how can you turn that into a business. I mean, now if you look at the world that we live in, yes, we have bloggers, we have YouTube, people that create content that make a living out of it. We have people, in fact, there's a lady that makes a living out of cleaning her home and putting that content out there. So look at what you are passionate about, and see how you can make that into a business or something that people contribute for, and then you can start from there. So that's always a good starting point. You don't necessarily always have to have a great idea. but it's good if you first even identify some talents that you have and how can you monetize that. And then from that, you can even discover some great ideas. So I think that is, good feedback. And it doesn't have to be conventional. Don't look at what is always considered as a great idea. Think outside the box. Just look at what are your talents, your skills, and how can you convert that into something that people would appreciate.
Regina, I think you're stuck. Hello?
Is it her network?
I think it's her network.
Yeah.
I think it's her network. Yeah, I think she will come back, but I think she has addressed the question. So we'll move on as we're running a little bit out of time, but we will take 10 more minutes, like 5 more minutes buffer time, because we took 5 minutes from our time to start the program. So there are really, really amazing questions coming in, and it saddens me that we won't be able to tackle all of them, but I will try to address the one that they have addressed to you directly, Irene. Amanda Damian says, hi, Mom. Thank you, Ms. Irene, for this wonderful conversation. I'm Amanda by name, and my question is, in an environment where you as a female is not given a platform to lead, but you know within yourself that you can serve well, what will you do so your voice can be heard? So this is a question I think. And then there was another one directly to you as well, which I think is similar in the sense of, it says, Mom Irene, please, did you encounter any form of self-esteem when growing up? And this is from Ivy. So I think they're asking similar question in the sense of self-esteem. And if you know you are a leader inside, but you're not given a platform to do so, where do you start, or how can you make sure your voice is heard?
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll start with Amanda. Amanda, hello. Great to meet you. So your question, if you think you can lead, you are, how do you put it? Wait again, let me see the question again. Okay. The situation where you have confidence, but you have an issue with, no, it's not that.
It's Amanda, it's under, so let me repeat the question.
Yes, please.
But in an environment where you as a female is not given a platform to lead, but you know within yourself you can serve well, what will you do so your voice can be heard? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So for your voice to be heard, you have to raise your voice. If you talk and they don't hear you, you raise it. If you think
louder.
If you are in a table and that table, the seating there doesn't suit you,
yeah,
you can either redesign the table or you leave the table. Okay, yeah. But you must do something. Yeah, you don't just take things if you are convinced that you have given better than you are getting, and that you can give even better than you are being given the opportunity to give. Then you have to muster the courage and the confidence to tell the counterpart, this is what I have given. And I think it's so good, but I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get in response. And this is what I can still do better. If they don't come to the table to negotiate or to tell you why at this point this and this cannot be, then you have to either do something to redesign that table, or you must leave to somewhere where you can have your voice heard and your contribution appreciated and made more impactful. So that is we as women. It has made me abandon what I felt were opportunities, But for some reason, when I start and I see that, no, this is not working the way it should be, or I'm not getting fair, whatever, I've had to abandon really things that people thought were great opportunities for me. But for me, they were not. for one reason or the other. And where I am today, I can say conveniently, I mean, luckily, I've not had to regret many of my choices, you know. And what I'm doing now, I have great passion for it, and entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey, very difficult journey. So if you don't have that passion to be able to wake up in the morning and feel a drive, you know, because you are working every time. You are working, you know. It's not like you're a team who can finish and go home. You continue working 24/7. Okay, so you must have that drive, that passion, and that vision that is guiding you. So that is it. Coming to the second question, like I said at the beginning, luckily for me, because of where I was coming from as a child, I really tend to repeat this, you know, being the only girl with 4 brothers and being in the middle, 2 before me, 2 behind me, you know, gave me that opportunity to grow up being a very confident and an assertive person. When I went to high school, some teachers hated me for it, others admired me for it. Okay, equally, anywhere where I have been, in university or in the workspace, some people will admire you for it, others will hate you for it. But at the end, it's good to have self-confidence and self-esteem, because that is where it all starts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Irene. I think we've lost Regina. I think it's because of her connection or something, because I can't see her even under attendees. But I will ask you, there were a couple of questions also forwarded directly to Regina, which I will jump for now, but I think Irene is also addressing them. First, I would like to read Sharon's message, who is saying, thank you so much. She's basically thanking our speakers. Let me read it. Sharon says, let me see, I can't seem to find. There are many questions coming in, that's why. Sharon Musioka, if I said it correctly, says, I'm so glad to be part of this webinar. I'm learning a lot as a young entrepreneur. The 2 speakers are just amazing. My concern on how to deal with challenges as a woman entrepreneur has been tackled to the fullest. Thank you a lot. So that's a feedback that I'd like to read to you, Irene. And now I want to go to one question that was directed to you directly. It comes from Lily Sings. She said, oh, I'm excited to see Madam Irene here. My question is, how can we manage to bridge the gender gap in leadership? Because mostly you find that there is still gap in leadership, for example, in politics, and you find more males in the parliamentary sitting and less women. And how can we women conquer the fear to take up such positions? And Tandika says, great to hear Irene's story, very inspiring, which is the 90% similar to women we engage with. What would be valuable sharing with us is, what are the unique steps, risks, bets you have to take to get that breakthrough and to be where you're at? So kindly address those 2 questions, and then we're going to wrap up Irene and all our attendees. And I think I'll just forward all. There are many questions, Irene. I can't go through them all right now, but I will just give a chance to Tandika and Lily, and then I think I will just forward you on email so that you kind of answer them, and I think I will forward them later on.
Yeah, absolutely. So taking the first question that spoke about leadership in politics and all that. Unfortunately, I also started with that on the continent, we have no female leaders leading our countries. But incidentally too, you have Rwanda that has the world record for women in political leader, in parliament, more than 60-something%. That is #1 in the world. So Africa is at least leading in something. Okay, so it's something. It's a role model, country role model for other Africans. How do we bridge that gap? In my opinion, it boils down to our young people, to the youth. You know, taking interest, young women taking interest in politics. There's no need shying away from it. I'm not in politics. I don't know if I will go into politics, but I think the onus is on the young people, young women, to take interest in politics. We have a lot of organizations acting advocating for that. So if you're a young person, a young woman out there, what you can do is to take interest, okay? Take interest in politics, see what you can do, and we'll need to fill that space. I come from Nigeria, and I know that the few areas where Nigeria has had success in recent years, we are led by women. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, when she was the Nigerian Minister of Finance, we know her pedigree. We've had Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, we know her. And then in Nigeria, the woman that revolutionized NAFDAC, what we call NAFDAC, National Agency for Drug and Food Administration, okay, was a woman, Dr. Akonyele, Dora Akonyele. And these were women that have made the greatest impact in Nigeria in the recent years, more than the men. So I can say without fear that male political leadership in Africa hasn't been what it is. They are disappointing, okay? So women can take the lead, and it starts with the young people now who need to really take interest in political leadership as well as business leadership. So that is it. What was the second question, please, Feruz? You are muted.
So the second question is, it says, great to hear Irene's story, which is 90% similar to the women we engage with. What would be valuable sharing with us would be the unique steps, risks, and bets you took to get that breakthrough and be where you are.
Okay. The unique step was having the courage and to take the decision that I did not want to continue working as an international civil servant, you know, to venture into that unknown, into that uncertainty. I was not getting the kind of satisfaction. It wasn't really, the money was good and all that. So taking that risk, taking that decision, you know, life-changing decision. It's a life-changing decision. It can go both ways. And then discovering, so you first take that risk, then being ready to do what it takes, because you are now struggling with finding finance to be able to do the business that you have identified. This is what you want to do. And you have to deal with all the barriers, all the difficulties, all the challenges that come with it, with that. So it's having the courage, you know, to jump in, okay, and being ready to do the hard work, be resilient, and be persistent in whatever it is that you are pursuing. So these are what are the things that have been guiding me, and I can say comfortably that I have been successful in what I wanted to do. It's not only AWIEF that I do, I have other things, and I have been successful. So being also, as a woman, ready to own your achievement. Say, yes, I have done it. You own it. Don't be apologetic about it. Be proud, and be whatever you want to be about it. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Irene. Very insightful, very interesting, very engaging type of questions also that we received. But from you, Irene, I have learned a lot as a person, as a woman, as an African, and as a young lady. And I'm sure all the women, even men that have joined today's webinar have learned a lot from you and from Regina. I see someone raising their hand, but we are really running out of time. Abena is raising her hand, and I'll allow you to talk. If you say it really quick, Abena. I'm just doing you a favor right now.
She's muted.
Yeah, I'm asking. I allowed her to talk, so she has to unmute herself. Okay. Okay. Let her. Because other people are raising their hands. I can't do that. Okay, but thank you so much, because it wouldn't also be fair to the people that have asked questions, and then now I allow them to speak. But please write your questions on the question box, and I will collect them all and I will forward them to Irene and to Regina. I do know that you can definitely connect with Irene on Facebook. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. She will accept you right away and she will help you. So do connect with them on those platforms and ask them the questions that you want, and really even like try to get advice from them. I don't think I have personally spoken with Irene, and she's been really kind enough to really be helpful and even be our guest speaker today, so she will definitely help you. And do the same with Regina, but I promise to collect all your questions and forward them to Irene and Regina on email. But thank you so much, Irene. I'm very, very, very thankful. I will thank you on behalf of Real Africa and our partner, AFA-GSN, Ghana Startup Network, for coming today and sharing from the wealth of your knowledge and your expertise and your experience, especially being a leader and doing what you do, how you're able to overcome all of those barriers, to push through all those barriers and still be where you are today, inspiring women, and not only inspiring them, but also showing them the way to do it. It's very inspiring, and I think that's, we need more of you in this world. We need more of you in Africa, so that we know our value, we know our worth, and we know our potential, that we can do whatever we want to do if we put our mind into it. And so I encourage you, all the women that are here with me today, and I encourage all of the men that are here today with us, to also see this from the lens of the women and really try to understand us and understand the many challenges and struggles that we have to go through, and really be our support system. So now I'm sharing, as you see, our next webinar on the same topic, on Empower Her Women in Entrepreneurship, or the Women Entrepreneurs Series. Part 2 will be talking about a more kind of down-to-earth topic about how to navigate through funding for women-led ventures. So women that have businesses or that are only women-led ventures, how do you navigate through funding? How do you get access to funding? How do you push through those barriers of getting funding to actually lead your business and venture? This will be next Friday at the same time at 6 p.m. Kenya time, or 4 p.m. GMT time or Ghana time. Please do register, go on our socials and do register. You can either go on Ghana Startup Network or AFA-Africa socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You will find the link there, and go ahead and do register. And you, this will be for next one. We will be bringing you 2 amazing speakers from Kenya that are in the finance sector, and will be taking you through this. They're both co-founders and CEOs of their own companies as well, so you'll hear it from a leadership perspective. And then we have the last webinar on the 21st of August at the same time, 6 p.m. Kenya time, or 4 p.m. GMT time, Ghana time. And this will be around how to build a disruptive business model in this time and age where markets are getting disrupted, businesses are getting very innovative. How do you as a woman actually come up with a business model that can disrupt the market and only help you be there, but excel in the market amongst your competitors. And we'll be bringing amazing speakers that will show you the way to do this. And these are still CEOs, founders, and women that have made it in the market with very successful businesses. And so don't miss it. So you can still go ahead and register for this one as well. You'll find the link on all the socials, both on Arielle for Africa and Ghana Startup Network. And that will be our very last webinar on this series. And I'm sure you will love it. I hope you really enjoyed today's session and you've learned a lot, as I have done a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guest speakers, Irene, Ochem, and Regina again and again on behalf of the entire team and all the attendees. And thank you all attendees that you are here with us today. On the chat, yes, Irene.
I said thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I thought you wanted to say something. You're welcome. We're thankful more than anything else. As I said for Irene, you can, I think, type down your details in the chat box if you want for people to reach out to you, if you wish to. But for our partner, GSN or Ghana Startup Network, they have put their details, their social details on the chat box. So you can find them there. So you can copy and paste it from there. For Arielle for Africa, for Jason is also here, but for Arielle for Africa, you will find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, email with the same name, Arielle for Africa. Thank you again, guys. All of you who have joined from all over the place. I've seen from Zambia, from Burkina Faso, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya. Amazing. Thank you so much. And it says here, Michelle says, thank you very much for an inspiring session. The speakers were amazing. And as an attendee, I was able to relate and understand a lot. Smiling face. This was from Michelle. And I think I'll conclude it with there. Irene, is there anything you want to say before we go with this?
No, just to thank you and the audience. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And
thank you. And it was amazing. We actually had over 80 people joining. I think now we ended up at 50 people, because people, I think, started leaving as time was up. We have over 80 participants, which was amazing to see.
That's amazing.
Yes, it was amazing to see. So I hope to see the same audience next week on our next session. And Irene, hope to see you again on another occasion. Thank you all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Arielle.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.